Hello everyone and welcome back to UK Survival. Today we're not doing limbo. I thought we'd do a little bit of basic rope work, in which I use from inside the Scout Association for my pioneering. There's also really good techniques and rope skills for using out in the bush as well. This video was going to be brought to you outside in the woods and sort of thing, but the wind today in Norfolk is just terrible, and there's so much wind noise on the microphone, it just wasn't worthwhile doing it. So I've come inside in my local Scout hall. So what we thought, instead of using the trees and sort of thing, we'll use improvise, adapt and overcome. We've got a nice stick on top of a couple of cones, which is the same sort of thing as using a branch and everything outside. So the stuff we're going to use for today's little video is going to be this wood here, a couple of pieces of rope. This is hemp rope. We've got yellow on one side and pink on the other side, just to make it a bit easier so you can follow the ropes coming through. I've also got some bamboo canes as well, which I've cut back into different lengths, which we'll move on for the next part of the series. But today, what we're looking at first is some simple knots. So one being the reef knot, another one being a figure of 8, a clove hitch, I do that 2 different ways, and a bowline. And the figure of 8, we do a double figure of 8 and a single figure of 8, just so you can see the 2 different sort of them on there. So they're the knots we're going to look at for this thing. If you just want to go for a certain knot itself, look down in the description, you'll see a time link on there. Just click on the time link and that will take you through to the knot in which you want to do, or just replay the knot again and again and again. So that's it, let's move on. Okay, so the first knot in which we're going to show you is the reef knot itself. I'm going to try and do it, I'm going to do it sort of in the way which I'll be looking at. Also, you'll see the stuff on the camera. Some things that might look back to front, so I'll try and turn the camera around and sort of give you some idea how that's going to work at the same time. But the reef knot, basically what it is for joining 2 pieces of rope of the same thickness or diameter, depends what you call it, together. Yeah, so that's what it's designed for. It's just connecting 2 pieces of rope of the same thickness or diameter together. So what I've got here, these are 2 pieces of rope cut from the same thing, one with the yellow, one with the pink. So the pink one is a 3 foot, this one's a 6 foot length. And simply all it is, it's a nice little rhyme to remember it. It's left over right and under, and right over left and under. So that's really simple. So we've got on here, so this is going to be, I'm going to do it your way round, so it's going to be left. And the pink one's going to be the right, so exactly how you would do it, but it's going to be backwards for me. So all it simply be is the left goes over top of the right, then under, and then the right goes over the top of the left, then under. And as you pull it together, you'll see there it makes 2 loops, and those 2 loops join and they can pull. You can put as much pressure onto these as you want to, but it would never come undone. But it's always really easy to undo. All you're going to do is wiggle it around, push it together, and then it comes back out again. And it's nice and simple. So we'll try that again for you. So the left goes over right and underneath, a bit like a shoelace at the start, and then right goes over the left and under. And then we pull it, and we've got our 2 opposing loops sort of coming on. So that is the reef knot. That's the first knot, which we always teach people, and it's always really good to know how to do, to try to change it over, to make it a bit easier for connecting 2 bits of rope. You can use it for paracord. If this paracord's too short, you can tie 2 bits of paracord together, or bank line, depends what you want to use. So that is the first one we're looking at. So the second knot we're going to look at is the figure of 8. So the figure of 8, there's basically 2 sort of reasons for it. You've got the figure of 8, the single figure of 8, which we use in boating and sort of things to stop the rope from going through knots, or if you want to tie the note to stop the rope from going through a loop. Or you've got the double figure of 8, which we make a loop and actually tie a figure 8 onto, but this principle are the same for both knots, it's just using 2 strands instead of 1 strand. So we're going to use the smaller piece because that's easier to deal with. And all you've got to simply do with the figure of 8 itself is the first, we bring, I'll try and do it this way around for you. So we bring the bottom of the rope, we come it up, go round the back, and then back through the loop, giving yourself a figure of 8. Give yourself a figure of 8 in the rope itself. Yeah, so I'll try that again for you. And bearing in mind, I am trying to do this upside down so it's the right way around for yourselves. So you bring, so the loose end or the dead end is towards you. Pick it up, around the back, and back through itself. Doesn't matter which way around you do it really. Yeah, nice and simple. Right, if I do it towards me, so all I'm simply doing is making a loop at the bottom of the rope, bring it around the back. Come on, rope. Yeah, so I've now got my 8, and then I just tuck it back through the loop again. Nice and simple. Yeah, so that is the single figure of 8. The double figure of 8 is exactly the same, but this time you're just making a loop with 2 strands, and you just go over the top, round the back, and back through. And this time you've actually got a loop in which you in which you can attach things on. Yeah, so I'll show you again. So it's a case of over the top, round the back, and then back through again. I'll do it your way around, so it's the right way around for the screen. Go over the top, round the back, and back through the first loop. And we've got ourselves a nice figure of 8 knot. So that's another one I use quite a lot for attaching things together. The next one is what we're going to look at is going to be the clove hitch. So the next one we're going to look at is going to be the clove hitch. So there's 2 different versions how I teach this one. If I'm using the end of a piece of stick, I'll first use the Mickey Mouse ears, and then if I'm using the middle of something so I can't get to the 2 ends, I will then use a different version. So I'll show you the 2 end one first. Simply all I do is get my rope, I make 1 loop, I make a second loop, I put the second loop behind the first loop, so over there itself, and then all I do then, I've got my stick, put my stick through it, pull it tight, and now I've got myself a clove hitch on the back of that stick. Yeah, so that's nice and simple. So again, I'll do 1 loop, 2 loops, second loop round the back, I got on the end, into the middle where I want it, pull it together, and I've got myself a clove hitch. So that's really simple if you can get to the end, and I find the kids understand that one a lot easier than actually trying to make one on itself. The other version is what we have, is when we can't get to the end, we need to tie it. So simply all you have to do is wrap the rope around once, make a cross, go around the other side, and then where the cross meets, just tuck the rope underneath the cross, and then pull both ends tight. It makes a clove hitch. So nice and simple. So I'll show you again. I'll try it from this way around this time. So I've got my rope, so the rope is towards you this time. It goes around, makes a cross, comes around again, and I split the cross open, tuck the rope through the cross, and then pull it through. There we go, we've got ourselves a nice clove hitch. So we've got 2 different versions of using the clove hitch for tying the rope together. There's another really good one. To start, you're tying on your rope to an object, and you don't want minimum movement of slippage sort of coming over. So that's that one. Another one you could use is a bowline. Again, the figure of 8, when you put it under strain, it tightens itself up, and it can be really hard to undo, and sometimes you need a knife to actually undo it and cut the rope. So, but using a bowline, doesn't matter how much pressure you put on the loop, you can undo the bowline. That's what makes a bowline a really, really good thing to do. Again, you can actually do those a couple of different ways. You can do it onto the object, you can do it off the object, and this, you've got a loop, or you can tie it onto the object and tie it onto it, or you can even do it around your back and do it with one hand. But we do that one for a later date. So, a clove hitch. How I remember it, how I teach it, I do a little rhyme. I go up the rabbit hole, around the tree, and back through the rabbit hole. If you remember those three things, so up the rabbit hole, around the back of the tree, and back down the rabbit hole, you'll be able to tie the bowline. So that's nice and simple. So we'll do that now. So we'll get rid of the stick and we'll show you actually without having a loop to deal with. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make a loop into the rope. Yeah, so that is the rabbit hole. So all I do then, I take my rope, just says a rabbit, it goes up the rabbit hole, around the back of the tree, so going around the back of the tree, and then back down the rabbit hole again. And now when I pull my ropes together, what I have now is a nice bowline with a loop on the end there. So this is nice and tight, so this loop can now be attached to something. I can pull this as much as I want, and it's never ever going to, it's all you do, just break it, push that loop over, and then I can undo the rope nice and easy. Doesn't matter how much strain and pressure I just put on that, it's going to be nice and easy to do. So again, so all I simply do is making a loop in the rope first. And then once the loop is there, I take the loose end up through the hole, around the back of the rope, and back through the hole again. Pull them both tight, and I've got myself a nice bowline and a loop sort of coming over, so I can collect that onto things or anything on there. But if I want to put that onto an object, so if I get my pull back now, yeah, so we make a loop into the rope. Yeah, so nice and simple, just make the loop into the rope, take the loose end, the short end, round under the hole, round the back, and then back through again. We put it nice and tight, and it gives ourselves a nice loop actually onto the clove hitch itself. So again with the rhyme, the last time. So we make a loop, the rabbit goes up the rabbit hole, around the back of the tree, and back through the rabbit hole again, and ties itself on. So that is the bowline. So that is basically all of the knots which we're going to look at. So we've got the reef knot, we've got the figure of 8, the double figure of 8, the clove hitch tied on, the clove hitch looped on, and the bowline off the object, and the bowline on the object. So they are the knots we're looking at for this little video. Okay, so that is my little introduction to some knots. So say I will be doing them a little bit. Every time I sort of use them, that's something I'll talk you through. It might show you more demonstrations. But today I just want to bring an introduction into the knots, and we might concentrate a little bit more in the future of each knot in turn. But that's it for this little video. I hope you found it useful. If you do, put a comment down below. If there's any knots you want me to go through or talk about, list them down below and I'll do a video towards that. But until then, just remember, it's better to be one with the wilderness than to fight and struggle. Until the next video, see you then. Bye for now.